Welcome to this explainer. Let's just skip the pleasantries and dive right into a pretty terrifying scenario. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning to find your everyday groceries absolutely surging in price. Flight tickets? Doubled. And the stock market is just flashing blood red as billions of dollars literally vanish from tech and automotive shares in a matter of hours. It's exactly the kind of panic that makes us think, oh no, a world war just broke out. Because, when a global crisis of this magnitude hits, our very first instinct is indeed to look for some massive continent-spanning conflict.
Just picture a sudden 30% spike in gas prices overnight. Yeah, 30%. It's the kind of shockwave that instantly sets off panic across the entire globe, completely paralyzing everyday commuters and massive logistics conglomerates alike.
Naturally, we'd assume a massive apocalyptic world war is behind this kind of immediate economic meltdown, but, well, history actually shows us it might just take a single, ridiculously narrow strip of water to spark the whole thing.
Okay, moving into section 1, the hook and the choke point.
Let's really look at this geographical anomaly that literally dictates the fate of the global economy. To grasp the sheer gravity of this place, we've got to look past the headlines and stare directly at the map. So, flanked by Iran on the northern coast and Oman to the south, the Strait of Hormuz is this tiny, almost microscopic geographical throat, connecting the Persian Gulf to the open ocean. Through this shockingly narrow shipping corridor flows roughly 1/5 of all the petroleum consumed on planet Earth, a whole 20%. And get this, while it's 21 miles wide, the safe shipping lanes within it are so tight that these massive supertankers have to navigate a mere 2-mile wide corridor just to squeeze through. It is, no exaggeration, the ultimate global choke point. If a single spark ignites a conflict here, it doesn't just mess with the Middle East, it creates an immediate economic domino effect that slams Washington, London, New Delhi, Beijing, and Tokyo, all at the exact same time.
Think of it like this. Imagine a massive, thriving metropolis where every single ounce of food, medicine, and electricity has to cross over one single super fragile bridge. Just like blocking a city's only bridge causes immediate starvation and panic, blocking this strait starves the entire planet's energy grid. Whoever controls this 2-mile wide stretch doesn't just control ships, right? They essentially hold a knife to the jugular of global energy security.
Which brings us to section 2, leverage and brinkmanship.
So, this very specific geography sets the stage for a hyper-tense, multi-decade chess match between superpowers. It's not just about geography anymore, it's the art of economic warfare. On this board, we see two totally contradictory doctrines clashing head-on. On one side, we have Iran. For decades, they viewed the strait not just as a territorial boundary, but as their ultimate strategic shield. It's basically a trump card to secure their sovereign waters against Western pressure and foreign encirclement. But then, on the flip side, the United States views the freedom of navigation in these waters as an absolutely non-negotiable red line. Because if international trade routes are compromised, the American economy takes a direct, devastating hit. You have one body of water and two wildly contradictory superpower interests. When both sides operate on entirely opposing definitions of security, well, the margin for error shrinks to absolute zero.
Now, here's the absolutely crucial point. Iran doesn't actually want to permanently close the strait. Actually doing that would be economically suicidal for Tehran, because they heavily rely on their own maritime oil exports just to stay afloat. Instead, their real power lies in the constant, looming threat of doing so. By keeping up a heavy naval presence of fast-attack missile boats and sea mines, it acts as a powerful psychological tool. This is what we call strategic leverage. It reminds the world daily that they could turn off the global energy tap, which forces adversaries to really hesitate and think twice before applying pressure.
And to counter that leverage, the US has historically utilized a doctrine known as maximum pressure. This strategy is all about applying unprecedented, just suffocating economic sanctions to starve an adversary of resources, while at the very same time building up this imposing military presence right at their doorstep. The theory here: project total unpredictability and push the adversary right to the absolute edge of the cliff. Not necessarily to start a war, but to force them to the negotiating table, because frankly, they have no other options left to survive.
But, as you can guess, pushing a nation into a corner like that carries immense systemic risk. A single radar glitch, an overzealous commander, or just a misunderstood warning shot. That could escalate an isolated naval skirmish into a full-scale regional war before diplomats can even pick up the phone. So, when the margin for error shrinks to zero in these waters, we really have to ask, Does all this hawkish public posturing mean Washington actually wants an uncontainable hot conflict?
Well, the answer is highly nuanced, but cold, hard pragmatism shows us that a hot war is absolutely devastating for the average voter's financial well-being. A full-scale war instantly destabilizes the domestic economy, sends inflation numbers straight through the roof, spikes in national debt, and severely damages a presidency's standing with voters back home. In modern politics, the ultimate battleground isn't some desert thousands of miles away, it's your wallet. Meaning, much of the military buildup and aggressive public declarations we see, it's actually calculated theater designed to extract concessions, rather than a genuine desire for a devastating conflict.
Let's move on to Section 3, the supply chain contagion.
Now let's break down exactly why this distant geopolitical standoff is fundamentally a battleground for that wallet of yours. How does a crisis in this 21-mile strait directly threaten global wealth? Well, despite decades of public policy pushing for green energy, the foundational architecture of our modern industrial world still runs entirely on fossil fuels. If the strait closes, even briefly, it triggers this terrifying, unavoidable, hyperinflationary domino effect. Just think about the logistics. Raw materials shipped across oceans suddenly cost twice as much because maritime freight literally doubles. Then, factory operational costs skyrocket. The cost of trucking the finished product increases. By the time that product reaches a consumer shelf in Chicago, you're essentially financing a geopolitical crisis just to buy paper towels. Oil inflation is basically a virus that mutates and infects every single sector of the economy.
Take a look at major emerging economies like India, which imports over 80% of its crude oil, much of it sourced directly from the Persian Gulf. For nations heavily reliant on this specific maritime route, this kind of sudden supply shock instantly blows a massive hole in their national budget. It completely stalls industrial growth and triggers severe currency devaluation.
And hey, for those thinking, well, the US has achieved historic levels of domestic oil production via fracking, so we're totally safe. Yeah, think again. Remember, oil is a globally fungible commodity. That means if a supply void opens up in Europe or Asia due to a Middle Eastern blockade, global oil prices skyrocket uniformly everywhere. American domestic oil producers are going to price their crude according to the international market rate, so you will still pay the exact same explosive premium at your local gas station, regardless of where that oil was actually pulled from the ground. Crazy, right?
All right, let's wrap this up with Section 4, the new power paradigm.
As we zoom back out and look toward the horizon of the next few decades, an existential question kind of emerges. Are we going to remain permanently trapped in this endless cycle of oil-driven crises? Because we are currently witnessing a massive evolution from the empires of the past. In the 20th century, geopolitical supremacy was built on Middle Eastern physical geography, the dirt and who controlled the oil fields beneath it. But today we're transitioning to modern superpowers defined by structural monopolies in silicon and code. The new arena of competition is all about advanced AI architectures, semiconductor fabrication, next-gen battery chemistry, and control over digital clouds. We are literally moving from resource geopolitics to technological geopolitics.
However, we really need to guard against naive optimism here. I mean, the death of oil has been predicted for decades, yet global consumption figures just keep hitting all-time highs. The transition to clean energy is definitely not an overnight flip of a switch. It's going to take decades of painful structural rebuilding. Until the day a massive container ship can cross the Pacific or a commercial airliner can cross the Atlantic running entirely on clean energy, the world remains completely tethered to fossil fuels. And so, the geopolitical gravity of the Middle East remains completely intact.
So what's the ultimate lesson of this explainer? It's that financial survival and success in the modern era requires deeply, truly understanding geopolitical risk. The most successful enterprises of the future won't just be the ones making the highest profits during times of peace. No, they'll be the ones that build systemic resilience, the structural capacity to withstand sudden, violent shocks to the global supply chain. The global economy is a living, breathing system governed by human ambition, military strategy, and this eternal, high-stakes struggle for energy dominance.
Which brings us to our final thought. In a hyper-connected world governed by sudden, unpredictable geopolitical tectonic shifts, is your future built to withstand the next inevitable crisis? I'll leave you to ponder that vital question, because anticipating the risks before the crisis hits and building robust defense mechanisms against them is really the only way to truly command the future. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the structures that quietly run our world.